Hey there, champions. Grab a seat and think of me as your personal public health doctor today. Welcome to this explainer, where we are diving into the absolute science of sickness. Right off the bat, we actually have a mystery case study to solve together today. Picture this. Patient A got sick right after sitting next to a coughing friend in class, right? But patient B got sick after years of eating poorly and avoiding exercise. Well, by the end of our time together, you're going to be able to diagnose exactly what happened to both of them. Plus, you'll finally understand why some sicknesses spread like wildfire while others stay completely contained to one person.
All right, to kick off our diagnosis, I want you to just imagine a quick scenario. On one side, we have a kid sneezing directly next to their friend. Bless you. But on the other side, we have a kid who eats junk food every single day. Now here's the kicker. One of these situations leads to a disease you can actually catch. The other leads to a disease you absolutely cannot catch. But make no mistake, both of them can make you very, very sick. Basically, these represent the two main types of diseases that we face in the world today.
So here's our diagnostic journey for today's explainer. First, we'll look at catch it or you can't. Second, communicable, the spreading sickness. Third, we'll cover NCDs, lifestyle and genetics. Fourth, we've got the prevention health checklist. And finally, we will wrap it all up with our final diagnosis and recap.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1. Catch it or you can't, the two main types of disease.
Look, this is literally the fundamental divide in the medical world. In medicine, we divide pretty much all diseases into two major categories, communicable and non-communicable. Type 1 spreads directly from person to person. Type 2 doesn't. We are going to permanently separate these two categories in your mind today, just so they never get confused on an exam or, more importantly, in your actual life. Getting this right is honestly the first step to becoming a champion of your own health.
Moving along to Section 2, communicable, the spreading sickness.
Think about that word for a second, communicate. In science, it literally just means to pass something on. Now, the invisible culprits behind these spreading sicknesses are called pathogens. Pathogens are these tiny microorganisms. Specifically, we're talking about bacteria, viruses, fungi, or protozoa. They are the sneaky invaders that cause communicable diseases. And I mean sneaky. They spread through the air, they hide in water or food, they transfer when you touch something, or they even hitch a ride inside insects like mosquitoes. In fact, local public health workers in our city spend every single day tracking these invaders, testing our local water supply, and setting up mosquito nets to literally stop them in their tracks before they can spread to our schools and homes.
Now, I'm sure you guys have definitely encountered these before. Real-world examples include things like the common cold, the flu, COVID-19, tuberculosis, malaria, and even chickenpox. When these pathogens invade your body, the symptoms usually come on super suddenly. You might be totally fine in the morning, right? And then by the afternoon, boom, you're hit with a sudden fever, a hacking cough, severe body aches, intense fatigue, or rashes. That sudden onset is a massive, massive clue that you're dealing with a communicable disease.
Let's actually look at how fast this plays out in the real world, especially in somewhere like a school setting. Step 1. Just one student gets sick. Step 2. Because they're in a crowded classroom, pathogens easily spread through the air from a simple cough, or maybe through shared touch on a desk. Step 3. 5 other students get sick. Just like that, one single student can quickly infect 5 others. It's like a chain reaction. But hey, the journey doesn't end there. With a proper diagnosis, some good old-fashioned rest at home, and the right medicine from a doctor, these students clear the pathogens right out of their systems, make a full recovery, and permanently stop the spread.
All right, time to shift gears to Section 3, NCDs, lifestyle and genetics.
So NCDs, which stands for non-communicable diseases, they operate entirely differently inside the human body. And I want to shatter 2 major misconceptions for you right now. First, while we just saw how fast the flu spreads in a school, there is a strict rule here. You absolutely cannot catch diabetes or asthma by sitting next to someone who has it. It just does not pass from person to person. No way. Second, a lot of people think NCDs only affect older adults. Actually, scratch that. It's completely false. Poor lifestyle habits developed right now in middle school or high school can literally set the foundation for these diseases very early on.
So you're probably wondering, if germs aren't jumping from person to person, what actually causes an NCD? Well, the triggers are totally different. They are deeply rooted in lifestyle and genetics. We're talking about long-term habits here, like an unhealthy diet, a total lack of exercise, smoking, drinking alcohol, or even environmental factors like air pollution. And of course, your family history, so your genes, plays a huge role in this too. Ultimately, these are the root causes of conditions like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, cancer, asthma, and obesity.
Because NCDs are triggered by these long-term habits and genetics, the symptoms, they don't just happen overnight like a sudden fever. They develop very, very slowly over a long period of time. We're talking about noticing long-term tiredness or frequent thirst if you're developing diabetes, or maybe breathing problems that just slowly get worse in asthma, or subtle chest pain indicating early heart disease. The reality is that these diseases stick around for a long time. In fact, they often require lifelong management and daily care. They really affect your overall quality of life, and unfortunately, they stand as the leading cause of death worldwide.
Which brings us nicely to Section 4, the Prevention Health Checklist.
Okay, now that we know what we're up against, let's transition into the solutions phase. As your public health doctor, I really want to empower you to take control of your daily routines. So, let's walk through your daily health checklist together. To fight off communicable diseases, it is all about hygiene and defense. You need to wash your hands, cover your mouth when you cough, drink clean water to avoid those waterborne pathogens, and absolutely take all your vaccines on time. Plus, isolate. Seriously, stay home if you're sick so others don't catch it. On the flip side, to prevent non-communicable diseases, your checklist focuses entirely on long-term habits. You need a balanced diet, more fruits and veggies, way less junk food. Avoid tobacco entirely. Get out there and play, exercising for about 60 minutes every single day. Remember, guys, prevention is always, always cheaper and easier than a cure.
And finally, Section 5, Final Diagnosis and Recap.
All right, let's do a quick clinical review to basically lock everything into your brain for your exams and, for your life. Let's compare these side by side. Communicable diseases, they are caused by germs and pathogens. Do they spread? Yes, absolutely. Examples, things like the flu and malaria, and we prevent them through strict hygiene and vaccines. Now, non-communicable diseases, on the other hand, are caused by your lifestyle and your genes. Do they spread? No, never. Examples include diabetes and asthma. We prevent those through a healthy diet, exercise, and just generally good habits. If you understand this distinction right here, you've completely mastered the science of sickness.
Well, you are now officially health champions. But before we go, let's do a rapid-fire quiz to test your new diagnostic skills. Question 1. If your classmate has asthma, do you need to stand 6 feet away to avoid catching it? The answer is no, of course not. It's an NCD. Question 2. Is washing your hands the best way to prevent diabetes? Nope. That prevents communicable diseases. Diabetes requires a healthy diet and exercise. See? You now know exactly how to diagnose our mystery case studies from the very beginning. Patient A had a communicable disease from a cough, and patient B developed an NCD from a poor diet. So as we finish up this explainer, I leave you with one final question to ponder. Which disease surprised you the most today? Stay curious, watch those daily habits, and keep learning. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.